You know, in a world where alliances seem to shift with the wind, the partnership between India and Russia is, well, it's a real standout. We're talking about a relationship that has weathered the Cold War, the collapse of the Soviet Union, and all the chaos of the 21st century. So what's the secret? How has it lasted this long?
Seriously, what are the ingredients that make a partnership like this so incredibly resilient for more than 75 years? The answer isn't some vague idea of shared interests. As we're about to see, it's a story built on very specific, very critical actions, taken at the moments that mattered most. Okay, so to really understand where we are today, we've got to go way back, right back to the very beginning, to the choices made in the early days of India's independence. Just look at the pattern that pops up right from the get-go. In 1947, bam, the Soviets are one of the first to give diplomatic recognition to a newly independent India. A few years later, in 55, they're helping build the Bhilai steel plant. Then comes the political muscle, a huge UN veto in 61 over Goa. And by 62, India is getting its hands on advanced MiG-21 fighter jets. See, this wasn't random. It was support on every level, diplomatic, industrial, and military, right from day one. And this wasn't just about sending nice letters. This support was real. It was tangible. We're talking about the steel mills that would literally become the backbone of India's industry and the fighter jets that brought its air force into the modern age. This was foundational help at a time when, frankly, a lot of other doors were closed to India. But as we all know, any real partnership gets tested. And for India and the Soviet Union, the ultimate test, the moment where everything was on the line, came in 1971. A year that would define their relationship for decades to come. So just months before the Bangladesh Liberation War kicked off, these signed this treaty. And let me tell you, this wasn't just some dusty piece of paper. It was a clear, unambiguous signal to the entire world that an attack on one would be a major problem for the other. It absolutely set the stage for what was about to happen. And when the conflict started, the Soviets backed up that treaty immediately. At the United Nations, they used their veto power not once, not twice, but 3 separate times to block resolutions that were aimed against India. That was a critical diplomatic shield on the world's biggest stage. But the most intense, most dramatic moment, that happened at sea. The United States sent the USS Enterprise, a hugely powerful aircraft carrier group, into the Bay of Bengal, a clear show of force. The Soviet response was just as clear and just as direct. They sent their own naval fleet sailing down from Vladivostok to literally shadow the American ships. This was the treaty in action, a direct military countermove that sent a powerful message and prevented anyone else from jumping in. So, after a massive peak like 1971, you have to wonder, what happens next? Especially when the entire world changes. The Cold War ends, the Soviet Union itself dissolves. Surely the partnership would fall apart, right? Well, it didn't just survive. It proved how incredibly resilient it was. Let's jump to 1998. India conducts its nuclear tests and almost overnight faces a storm of international condemnation and really tough sanctions from the West. But Russia's reaction was completely different. Moscow decided not to join the sanctions. Instead, it continued its crucial cooperation in defense and civil nuclear energy. That decision to stand by India showed a commitment that went way beyond the politics of the day. And a perfect symbol of that enduring trust is the BrahMos missile program, which was started that very same year. Now, this wasn't just Russia selling a weapon. No, this was a true joint venture, both countries working together to co-develop one of the world's most advanced cruise missiles. To do something like that, you need an absolutely massive amount of technological and strategic trust. All right, let's fast forward to the 21st century. How has this historic relationship adapted to our modern world? Well, the focus is really sharpened onto 2 huge pillars: advanced defense tech and energy security. First up, let's talk defense. The centerpiece of their modern cooperation is, without a doubt, the S-400 Triumph. This isn't just any missile system. It's widely considered one of the best air defense systems on the planet, capable of creating a massive protective bubble against planes and missiles. And the scale of this deal is just immense. We're talking $5.4 billion. But here's the kicker. India went ahead with this purchase even when facing intense pressure and the threat of sanctions from the US. That tells you everything you need to know about how vital India sees this capability and this partnership for its own strategic independence. Now let's switch gears from defense to energy.
Over the last few years, the global energy market has been, to put it mildly, completely turned upside down. For a country like India that needs a ton of energy, that's a huge, huge problem. And right in the middle of all that disruption, Russia stepped up. It began sending huge amounts of discounted oil to India. I mean, the shift was staggering. Russia went from being a pretty minor supplier to becoming India's #1 source for crude oil. That move was absolutely crucial for helping to stabilize fuel prices in India during a really critical time. So, when you start connecting all these dots, from a steel plant in 1955 to a naval standoff in 71 to nuclear tests in 98, all the way to today's energy deals, a very, very clear pattern starts to emerge. And that pattern is all about reliability. So what's the common thread through all of this? It's that consistent diplomatic cover at the UN. It's giving India access to top-of-the-line military tech, often without political strings attached. It's that deep, foundational work in strategic areas like space and nuclear power. But the most important thing? This support has always been strongest when India was under the most pressure. At the end of the day, this is a partnership that has consistently helped India maintain its strategic autonomy, its freedom to make its own calls on the world stage. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? This relationship isn't just transactional, changing whenever the political winds shift. It's defined by continuity and, most of all, by crisis-time reliability. It's about showing up when it really, really counts. And that, of course, brings us to the future. With new global powers on the rise and old alliances being tested, the India-Russia partnership is facing a whole new world of challenges and opportunities. The big question for the next 75 years is, how will this incredible legacy of reliability adapt to a world that looks nothing like the one it was born in?